What if I told you that the most spiritually enlightened humans who ever lived can't think, can't speak, and can't even move voluntarily? They exist in a permanent state of what mystics call pure consciousness, but they're completely helpless. They have only delta brainwaves, and they might be closer to God than any of us will ever be. This is the ultimate paradox of human consciousness. Delta waves operate at 0.5 to 4 hertz, the slowest brainwave frequency. In normal humans, delta waves only appear during the deepest stages of sleep. But imagine a human whose brain produces only delta waves, awake or asleep. They would exist in a state that's beyond thought, beyond emotion, beyond individual identity. No analysis, no planning, no memory formation, no sense of self versus other. Pure being, pure awareness. Nothing else. This is what every meditation master, every spiritual seeker, every enlightened teacher has been trying to achieve. The complete dissolution of the ego and mind. But these delta humans achieved it by accident of neurology. Here's where it gets mind-bending. Everything that spiritual traditions say about enlightenment perfectly describes delta-only consciousness, no self. Buddhists call it Enlightenment. Delta humans have no sense of individual identity. The ego has completely dissolved. Pure awareness, Advaita Vedana's ultimate goal. They exist as consciousness without content, aware but not thinking about anything, living in the eternal now. Every spiritual tradition's teaching. With no higher brainwave activity, they have no concept of past or future. They exist in permanent presence. Beyond thought, what Zen masters spend decades trying to achieve, they literally cannot think. Not because they're unintelligent, but because thinking requires higher frequency brainwaves they don't have. Union with the divine. Mysticism's highest attainment. Without the barrier of individual consciousness, they exist in undifferentiated unity with everything. The cruelest irony in human existence might be this: the people who have achieved what billions of spiritual seekers dream of can't tell us about it. They can't teach it. They can't even know they've achieved it. They embody enlightenment that can't experience it in any way we'd recognize. Meanwhile, the rest of us, trapped in beta wave anxiety, theta wave imagination, alpha wave relaxation, spend our lives trying to get to where they naturally exist. We meditate for hours to quiet our minds. They have no mind to quiet. We practice ego death through psychedelics. They have no ego to kill. We seek transcendent states. They never left them. Delta humans would be like living cones embodying the deepest spiritual truths while being unable to understand them intellectually. They would be pure compassion without choice, incapable of harming because they lack the brainwaves needed for aggression. Infinite patience, no time anxiety because they don't experience time sequentially. Complete acceptance, no resistance because resistance requires analytical thinking. Perfect presence, unable to be anywhere but here and now. Unconditional love, no barriers between self and other to create conditional responses. They would naturally embody every spiritual virtue, not through moral choice, but through neurological impossibility of being otherwise. The Enlightenment trap. All this reveals something profound about our spiritual seeking. We want enlightenment, but we want to keep our minds. We want ego death, but we want to remember the experience. We want to transcend thinking, but we want to think about transcending thinking. Delta humans show us the ultimate price of true enlightenment. You have to give up everything that makes you recognizably human. No personality, no memories, no preferences, no ability to function in the world, no capacity to help others find what you've found. They exist as pure awareness, but they're completely dependent on others for survival. They found God, but they're as helpless as newborn babies. Here's what's beautiful. Someone has to take care of them. And maybe that's the point. The people caring for Delta humans might be receiving the greatest spiritual teaching available: how to serve without expectation, how to love without recognition, how to give without receiving. The Delta human becomes a living Buddha statue, radiating peace and presence, but requiring total selfless service from others. Maybe the real enlightenment isn't in achieving Delta consciousness, it's in lovingly serving those who have. We might already encounter Delta humans and not recognize them. Certain individuals in vegetative states who seem aware but can't respond. Advanced meditators in deep samadhi who appear to have left normal consciousness. Some people with severe neurological conditions who exist in pure being. Mystical experiences where people report complete ego dissolution. What if some of these aren't damaged consciousness, but perfected consciousness that we don't understand? This forces us to confront the deepest question about human consciousness and spirituality. Is enlightenment compatible with being human? Every spiritual tradition promises that you can achieve transcendence while remaining functional. But Delta humans suggest that true enlightenment, complete ego death, pure awareness, union with the divine, might be incompatible with thinking, choosing, or even surviving independently. Maybe the goal isn't to become Delta humans. Maybe the goal is to learn from them. They show us what pure consciousness looks like. We show them what conscious action looks like. Delta humans are living reminders that consciousness isn't about intelligence, achievement, or even experience. It's about being itself. They exist in the state that the Upanishads call Sat Chit Ananda, pure existence, pure consciousness, pure bliss. But they can't know they're experiencing it because knowing requires the very mental activity they lack. They are enlightenment embodied, but enlightenment that can't recognize itself. They are the answer to the spiritual question, who am I? They are pure I am, without any qualities, without any story, without any complications. The most enlightened humans can't think. The most conscious humans aren't self-conscious. The people closest to God can't pray. They exist as living proof that ultimate reality is beyond the mind, beyond personality, beyond everything we think makes us human. And maybe that's the most important spiritual teaching of all. If this changed how you think about consciousness and enlightenment, subscribe for more mind-expanding content. What do you think? Would you choose Delta enlightenment if it meant giving up everything you recognize as yourself? The deepest truths about consciousness might be embodied by people who can never speak them.